Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Abam. We're continuing in Mishna Daf Hashavua. We're learning Siman Kuf Mem Zayin. Yesterday we saw the Mechaber who said it is asur to hold the Sefer Torah Arim bare without the mantle. It says Mishna Berura Katan Beis Sefer Torah Arim Im Laya Yidei Beged Hamafsik, unless there's some kind of garment that interposes. Be'alkim Eisha Golan Sefer Torah. Therefore, at the time they roll the Sefer Torah, Koidim Kriya, before you read it, sometimes the columns, they, so to speak, droop down, and you need to get them in line. In order to make the columns even, you would often grab the top of the columns to pull it so that it's symmetrical, it's equal. You have to be careful not to hold the cloth bare-handed. You need an interposition of a talis, a mitpachas, or a mantle. Yesterday we saw that if it's not possible and you have to hold it with your hand, then you're allowed to, but you should wash your hands. There's a chiyuv netilas yadayim, we'll see, to touch Kisvei HaKodesh. By the way, the same thing with Megillah Esther. You have Megillah, Yulain, you have to wash netilas yadayim before you touch it. You wash netilas yadayim in the morning, you have to wash netilas yadayim before you touch Kisvei HaKodesh. Really? No, only if your mother's Jewish. Okay? That's the halacha. If your mother's Jewish, you have to wash netilas yadayim. You have a beautiful Megillah, you like to take it out from your Sfarim shrank and open it up. Very good. You have to wash netilas yadayim. We'll see, is it a chiyuv? Is it good too? We'll see. Uva amudei ha-sefer Torah, yachalecha is beloy mitpachas. The amudim, meaning the atzei the wood, you could touch without a mitpachas. That is the opinion of the Taz and the El Yerab and the Gra and the Darchayim, the Maggid Harakiah, Shar Ephraim. And that's the minhag, even though v'yesh machmirin v'korchin amudei ha-sefer Torah b'katzvei satas v'shas hagba. Some wrap the amudim in the talis when they do hagba. Now, let's say, we just said, the Shar HaTziyun says, V'chein pashat haminhag, not like the Magen Gibar, not like the Magen Avram. Not like the Magen Avram. Let's say I want to be machmer, because I want to follow the Magen Avram. Am I allowed to? No, it's asur, it's gaiva. You're not allowed to. You're not to be machmer on this. In a place where not everyone has the minhag to do this. Oh no, he doesn't say you're not allowed to. But if you want to, you should do it with seichel. That nobody should be margish. Mishum yuara, because it's gaiva. So you'll say, but if nobody knows I'm being machmir, what's the point? Exactly. That means you're doing it for gaiva. That's why you shouldn't do it. If you have that feeling but nobody knows, that's who we're talking to. So in other words, here we're learning, even though yesterday we saw that when it comes to standing for Kriyas HaTorah and nobody's standing, you're allowed to stand. Why? Because there is more halachic basis to stand for Kriyas HaTorah. But here the Magen Avram is a das yachid. So you want to be machmer? Do it with seichel that nobody could tell. People could tell that you're being a beser mensch, you're not allowed to do it. It's gaiva. So not everything that you see in the sefer that this one did, that one did, are you allowed to do just because it makes you feel good. If no one else is doing it, sometimes yatsa schare behefsedai. Shar. Now let's see the Rama. Haga v'yeshoimrim. 1 second. The notes of the Dirshu are on page 7 in the back.
page 8.
Okay. Let's see the Rama. The Rama says Haga v'yesh omrim tehu adin shar kisvei kodesh. The Rama says that some say that the same thing would be for other kisvei kodesh, meaning you're not allowed to touch other kisvei kodesh without a mitpachas. That's the opinion of the Aguda and Tosis. But v'loy na'agu kain. That's not the minhag. The minhag is that we're not machmer on shar kisvei kodesh. V'toiv lahachmer. It is good to be machmer im loy natal yadav, if you didn't wash your hands. U'v'sefer Torah fil b'chai gavna aser. With sefer Torah, even if you wash your hands, it's aser. Let's see the Mishna Berura. Shar kizagosh v'davka kisheksuven ashuras al klaf. Davka if they're written ashuras with the klaf. U'v'diyoi kisefer Torah. Avos svarim shalonu. Our svarim. That are not written in this way, l'kulei alma mutter. According to everyone, it's mutter. Vafilu koydem natila, even before you wash until sidam. So basically, there are three levels. Sefer Torah, you're not allowed to touch, even if you wash your hands. Kisvei hakodesh, it is good to wash your hands before you touch them. Megillas Esther, it is correct to wash your hands. It is correct not to touch it unless you wash your hands.
Even when practicing?
What?
Even when practicing?
Why even? You're not allowed to touch it. You're not allowed to touch it. It has nothing to do with what you're doing, what you're using it for. It's kisvei hakodesh. So, and regular svarim, you don't have to wash your hands. However, listen, the very important Mishna Berura. Umiu dafka b'stam yadayim. That's only stam yadayim. If you know you touch something dirty, you have to be machmer. Name this is ma'asim b'chol yom. You know, you wake up in the morning, you go to the bathroom, you come out. Obviously, you have svarim by your night table. What else do you have by your night table? And you want to bring the svarim downstairs. No, you can't touch them. You didn't wash natil sidayim yet. You can't touch svarim before you wash until sidayim. What if you touch something? In other words, if you go to the bathroom, you're not allowed to touch svarim, or you should be machmer not to touch the svarim before you wash your hands. What if a sefer falls down on the floor and your hands are not clean? Should you delay picking it up before you wash your hands? Rabbi Yashiv quoted in Ginzei HaKodesh says, do not delay picking it up just because your hands are dirty, but if you could wipe them on something, that's preferable. And Reb Chaim also says, wipe it on something. Okay, so these are three very important levels in terms of Kisvei HaKodesh. Sefer Torah, even with Natil Yadayim, you shouldn't touch. Kisvei HaKodesh, you should wash Natil Yadayim. So again, you're laning the Haftarah, you don't have to wash Natil Yadayim. The reason is because you're middle of Tefillah. You wash Natil Yadayim before davening. So your hands are in a state that they're good. If for whatever reason they're not good, you would have to wash for Musaf anyway. In other words, we're assuming your hands are good. You take out a Megillas Esther. You're going to the store to examine klaf, mezuzos, you cannot touch them, or you should not touch them unless you wash until yadayim. You don't know that they're dirty? No, stam yadayim are not kosher l'kisvei hakodesh.
Does a sefer have to wash his hands before going in the...
Yeah, why not?
Writing? I don't know, I don't remember if we learned this back when we learned Mishna Sefer, but...
I would imagine. Now, let's see the Bir Halacha. Why do you have to wash your hands to touch Kisvei HaKodesh? The Bir Halacha says, "V'tama davar da Mordechai b'shem Raviyah Mekel afilu b'sefer Torah lechas oraim kishenato yadav le'isiach daita mishmirasan." This is talking about Sefer Torah. In other words, some Rishonim are Mekel that if you wash until Yadayim, you could touch Sefer Torah. And it's Mashna that way from the Rajva, but Tosfos is Machmer, and Aguda is Machmer, and the Ritva is... The Ritva says in Megilla, Af B'shar Kisvei Kodesh, you can't touch them Araim. Umetame hayadayim afla achar natila. And they're metame your hands even after you wash. L'chein bekisvei kodesh debelav hachi ein adar bar shadar lachmer bazeh. Akein hechriya ramad b'kisvei jayidei natila yesh lismech on the Mordechai that you could be lenient when it comes to kisvei kodesh. So now there's a very interesting shaila. Let's say, because now we're learning another halacha. Kisvei kodesh is metameis yadayim. What if you touch Megillas Esther in the middle of a Suda? Do you have to wash until Yadayim again? You ready for this halacha? You're in the middle of a meal. It's Erev Purim. You take out your Megillah. So now, if you washed your hands before, right, now I'm allowed to touch it because I washed my hands. But once you touch Kisvei HaKodesh, it's Metameis Yadayim. You have to wash your hands. Not only that, the Chai Adam writes, if you touch tefillin in middle of a Suda, it's Metameis Yadayim, you have to wash until Yadayim again. Hanoigeya, the Dirshu brings, and the Be'er Halacha brings the name of the Chai Adam, that you need to wash your hands. There's a Chi of Natilas Yadayim before your Mamshech Ba'achila, because Kisvei HaKodesh Metameis Yadayim. However, the Be'er Halacha disagrees with the Chai Adam. The Be'er Halacha says the chiyuv of Natilas Yadayim is only the truma, but is not la'achila b'zman hazeh. But therefore, says the Be'er Halacha, l'chadchila, you should not touch Kisvei HaKodesh in middle of a Suda, because now there's a question. Do you have to wash your hands again? So you say, so I'll wash again. You're not supposed to do things that now you're going to have to wash again in the middle of the Suda. So the Be'er Halacha concludes you should not touch Megillas Esther be'emtza hasuda, because not only is there a chiyuv natilas yadayim before you touch Kisvei HaKodesh, but Kisvei HaKodesh is metameis hayadayim.
And then why not wash it after you read it during davening? If it's metame.
It is. By the way, the Be'er Halacha is soiser himself in Siman Taf Ayin Hey, and he paskins like the Chai Adam that you do have to wash your hands in the middle of the meal. Bottom line is, that comes out, that if you touched, what if I touched the Sefer Torah in the middle of davening, because I had no choice, right? If I have no choice, then you're allowed to. Do I have to wash my hands for tefillah? No. It's only metameis hayadayim for truma, and exera atu truma la'achilas pas. It's not metameis yadayim l'tefillah. You hear that? It's not metameis yadayim l'tefillah. Okay. Let's continue here. It's late. Okay. Now, v'loi nohagu kain, says Mishabura, hainu af ba'oisan sheksuvim ashuris v'alaklav kedin kagoin Megilla, gam kain nohagu oilam lahakel. In other words, the Ramah said that it's usher to touch even Kisvei HaKodesh. But it's not the minhag to be machmer. By the way, the Chasam Sofer was machmer, based on Rabbi Nosson Adler, that his Megillas Esther had Atzei Chayim. So why? Because you can't touch Kisvei HaKodesh. The Ramah brings a Yesh Oimrim, Duadin Kisvei HaKodesh. But that's not the minhag. Gam kein nogu oilam lahakel, Masayim Ramah, the bezet toiv lahachmirim loy not al yadav, Ratzoloimer, Shem stam yadayim. For stam yadayim were machmer, V'choishishin shema noga b'makam ha'metunaf, Avo kishen not al yadav, but if you wash your hands in lahachmer bezeh, with a Sefer Torah, fil b'chai gavna, shenat al yadav, gam kein also ligaba, b'lim mat pachas. So I believe Rav Nosson Adler was machmer, even with natilas yadayim, that's why he had Atzei Chayim. But the Ramah's conclusion is, no, you don't have to be machmer, but as long as you wash your hands. The Mechaber continues, Gadol sheba oisam shekaru batoila goylalai. The greatest among all those who got the aliyos should do glila, which is our hagba. Uregilim leknoisa b'dam yikarim l'chabev mitzvah. It is common to buy it for a lot of money to show love to the mitzvah. Says the Mishna Gadol, v'yisa Gemara the Hagoylel, v'umasha anu karin hayom hagba shu ikar hagoylel. The goylel, which was what we call today the magbia, which is the ikar hagoylel, noitel schar kneged kulan ulkach kedai shagadol yeh mechubad b'mitzvah zu. Therefore, it's kedai that the gadol is mechubad in its mitzvah kedai shehu yikav al schar. Chazonish says that Bizmanenu, when the Gemara says Hagoylel noitel schar kneged kulam, it applies to the magbia and the goylel. Now, what's the reason why Bizman Hazeh the ikar goylel is the magbia? The Ramah says later on the magbia is nechshav, that he does the ikar glila because he's holding the Sefer Torah. Okay, weiter. Goyleloi zehu me'ikar hadin. This is me'ikar hadin, that gadol shaba'osim shakar b'toila goyleloi. V'achshav nagu shalei daktik, but now we're not medaktik to call up dafka someone who got an aliyah to do the hagbah. Nowadays we call up even mediocre people to do hagbah. So don't become full of yourself because you got hagbah. Don't say, I got the hagbah, I must be very chashav. No, it could be you're still mediocre. Or it could be you're very chashav. There's no indication. Do not evaluate your status based on whether you did or did not get hagbah. Let's say there are 2 yard sites, and one of them got the aliyah, and now the other one needs some kind of recognition for paying so much money for bringing in danishes. So give the other guy hagbah. The Gra did hagbah every Shabbos, and he took an aliyah. When he was in Avel, he did glila. Says the Mishnah Berura, umitzvahs glila avki rabahi. The mitzvah of glila, of what we call glila, even though it's a great mitzvah, nagul lechabed afliktan. The minhag is to be mechabed even young children. Sheish b'hem das lahavchin inyan davar shebekdusha. They have some kind of knowledge regarding davar shebekdusha. B'chdei lechancham b'mitzvahs, in order to train them. Oid kasav sham she'ein hasgan rashay lechabed b'mitzvahs hagbah l'mi sheyadav roisisin. A guy who's shaking should not do hagbah. If his hands are shaking a lot, or an old man who's weak, a guy who you know is just going to lift it up and sit immediately, he should not be given hagbah. He doesn't have the strength to hold it. That they could see it well. And even if the Gabbai gives it to him, he should not accept it. Like we saw earlier, it's a mitzvah for all the people, the men, the women, to see the ksav of the Sefer Torah. The Mishnah Berura says it's good to see the oisi. The Ramban says on the pasuk, Or asher lo yakim es divrei ha-Sefer HaTorah, that someone who they give him the kavod of doing hagbah, and he doesn't do it properly, that's what the pasuk is talking about. Or asher lo yakum. Says the Chassam Sofer, comes out, hagbah is karov l'doiraisa. So therefore I'd point out, if they're mechabed you to do hagbah, so even though you can't take that as a ironclad proof that you're chashav, maybe you're just mediocre, but you still have the opportunity to mekayim a mitzvah d'oraisa, provided that you're mechavein to be mekayim the mitzvah d'oraisa of Baruch Asher Yakum as Divrei HaTorah Hazois. However, the Chidah disagrees. Chidah says it's only asmachta ba'alma. Does one have to stand up during Hagbah? Yeah, the Shar Tzion earlier said you have to stand up during Hagbah. Okay, we'll hold it over here.
Recording stopped.